from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Hi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Tim.
I'm Jessica. And we're just your everyday
Methodist to the madness.
All right. We had an awesome week at PUMC. I think everyone who did go to our Bye Bye Birdie presentation. Well, I guess it's not a presentation. It's a musical. I don't know where presentation came from.
It's a musical presentation.
A musical presentation.
A theater presentation.
Yeah. Pretty awesome to see Pastor Jim, our senior pastor at Palmdale United Methodist Church, and some talented folks from our church. Margaret Wassner, her husband, Beth, who did the props. Anyone else that I might be missing? No?
Nope. I don't know. Just kidding, I think.
Yeah, but I could definitely say there must have been incredible talent.
There was, and the people who made the burgers before were also very talented. I wanted to see how you guys were doing, though. That was, I guess, a little highlight from my week, things that I thought were pretty awesome, and not much more to really update on my end. But Beth, how are things going in your space?
Things are okay. My friend Lucy and I have like a shorthand that when we're not doing well mentally, we'll say that we're in the pit. Do you know of Parks and Recreation?
Yes.
That show? That song that Chris Pratt sings with Mouse Rat? I fell in the pit. You fell in the pit. We fell in the pit. Anyway, that's where that comes from. But that means we're, a little down. And so I texted her. Last week was kind of a rough week for me. And I texted her on Tuesday or Wednesday. And she said she wasn't doing very well. And I was like, same. And then she stopped by to pick up her dog because we have shared custody of her dog Ricky. That's not how it started, but that is how it's going. and I love that dog so much. He's a little senior Jack Russell Terrier. Anyway, she stopped by to come pick up her dog, and then she noticed I wasn't doing okay. And then the next day she texted me if I was home, and I said yes. I asked no follow-up questions because that's just how I am. I figured she'll let me know eventually why she's asking me this. And then like an hour later, she texted me, you should open your door. And so I did. And she and her boyfriend, who is also my friend Jeremy, were standing out there, and they had a single serve piece of cake for me and a little card and a little it's like a sticker of a gerbil or a hamster that's in like workout attire because she thought that would amuse me. It did. But that also made me cry because even though it was a very nice thing to do, I'm like, why are these people fussing over me? It's a whole thing. And I'm like, and it makes me feel bad when people are nice to me, which is also a dumb way to be. But anyway, I'm much better now. And I feel really thankful for friends who will still check in on me when I'm.
That's so nice.
And I'm also really glad that Bye Bye Birdie is done. Bye-bye. And I hope that wasn't too real for everybody. I apologize.
No, I think that's what it is. This podcast, we're trying to cover our spiritual journey. And that includes like how we're doing emotionally and intellectually. And you definitely captured the how life is doing for your life, Beth. So that's I think that was really kind of something I can admire, because it kind of fosters that sense of genuineness that we would be looking to like inspire our audience to like understand about us, and then maybe they'll feel like they can foster that within themselves, reaching out within themselves or to their friends. So thank you for sharing that, Beth. I think that was good. I'm glad.
And how are you doing? Any quick?
Yeah. So I wanted to briefly add that I can relate to what you said, Beth, about how like when people treat you nice, for some reason you can feel bad. I think that happens to me too. I don't know why. But yeah, so I do have an interesting update. So I actually went out of town this weekend. I went to Mammoth Lakes, and I went to places like Rainbow Falls, and went to a couple of restaurants out there, and just saw the trees. And I didn't get to see all the, I almost got to see Devil's Postpile, but my mom and I ended up driving too far away from the trailhead for that. And then we didn't actually know that we were so far away from it. And then it was already getting late, so we didn't have a chance to do that. But anyhow, an interesting thing that happened to me that's never happened to me before, and I don't think it's going to happen to me again, is I went to this Mexican restaurant. I think it was called like the Gomez restaurant or something. And I got a chicken salad because I didn't want like a traditional Mexican entree this time, because I usually try to opt for a keto diet. Well, anyhow, it was like a really beautiful salad. I wish I just like took a picture of it. And like my mom's food was really beautiful too. But I didn't want to like get my phone out and all that stuff. So fast forward to like a minute later, and all of a sudden this bee comes over and goes on like towards my chicken on my chicken salad, because it was kind of like distinctly separated out from the other part of the salad, and the bee just lands on my chicken. I'm like, what's going on here? I tried to like move my hands around a little bit to get the bee away, but then like suddenly the bee just stayed there, and then like the bee's brother or companion or friend came over, and there were two bees flying around near my salad. Yeah, so then there were so many bees. There was I think a total of 3 bees. So my mom and I had to go inside to escape the bees. I just never would have expected bees to fly towards me and like basically disturb my late lunch. So yeah, it was, so that was like one of the most, memorable things that could have happened to me on a short getaway. But, anyhow, the, getting to like how it affected my life, like I haven't gone on like a getaway like that to where I felt really connected with nature. And it kind of helped me, think about my, like connection with technology, because I basically didn't really use my tablet or my phone like almost the entire trip. And I didn't mention this in our podcast yet, but for the audience, I'm a systems administrator. So I do IT work, installation config of systems, and I'm always on the computer as a result. And I basically just like, there's nothing else that I do, just go on the computer. So like going on this little getaway helped me to like just feel more at peace with not constantly being tuned in to like electronics, and just kind of be in my own mental space and just feel like comfortable. And it reminds me of how like one of the things I want to try to do is something Beth had mentioned about scripture journaling. So yeah, so that's how I'm doing that. That was kind of like a long thing too. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's great to hear that you got outside, though. That's, I think that's necessary.
Yeah.
You can hear my whole takeaway from this whole story.
What?
I was just wondering, was your chicken coated in sugar? Because that's not keto.
Oh, I don't know if I don't think it is coated in sugar.
Okay. People abuse like sugar. I was just
No,
wondering.
there might
Maybe
have
they're
been.
also on a keto diet.
That's very possible. Well, I want to transition and kind of share some updates that are going on in addition to Bye Bye Birdie concluding. Just want to highlight and remind people of all of the events that are coming up this week. A lot of awesome opportunities to get connected with the church. One thing in particular is, Wednesdays are kind of like our packed Wednesday. At 5:30, we have Kids Club with Beth, and that leads us into 6 o'clock with our Food for Thought. And at 7 is the Bell Choir. So a lot happening on Wednesdays. I know that we have a lot of small groups that are coming up, and I'm going to wait to have someone special share a little bit about at least one small group in particular. But also just keep in mind things that are coming up in October. There's our Trunk or Treat boutique. If you have any questions, or if you want to be a vendor, or if you have homemade items, food, etc., please be sure to contact Beth about that, because we would love to taste your amazing food that you create.
Or wrap a cozy hand crocheted sweater around our necks.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you are going to sell your food, maybe mention if it contains peanuts or any specific items that people may be allergic to.
Or if you're trying to murder Pastor John, don't mention that there's peanuts in it.
Correct, because he's deathly allergic to
We're
peanuts.
going to find out later if he listens to this.
Yes.
He'll be very happy that we said something.
He always knows I'm low key, always plotting his murder.
And then another thing for the church, for those that attend coffee hour, this is after our first service at 9 and before the 11 o'clock service. They do need coffee hour hosts. So if you have never hosted before, but you would like to, there's a location that you can sign up at the church, or you can contact the church directly. So feel free to, it's pumchurch.com is where you can go to the website. And I believe it's pumchurch@gmail. Otherwise, just go to the church. You'll find more information.
You could also call the church office.
You could also call, yes, you totally could. And if
that
number is, Beth, take it away.
That number is 661-947-3103.
And ask for Beth. Another option is Jeannie, and Jeannie is an awesome new addition, helping to take over basically anything and everything at the church. But before we head on in to the next segment of our amazing Methodist to the Madness podcast, which is internationally known and sought after, we have
Indeed.
Incredibly amazing special guest with us today, and we want to hear how she's doing. So we would love to have everybody give a warm welcome to Kathy Ankeny. How are you? Please let me know if I didn't say your last name correct, because there's actually a town next to where I'm from in Iowa that's Ankeny, and so
I think of the town every time because my dad used to live there.
in Iowa?
Yeah, and he worked in Ames. I just saw on your profile that you're from Ames, Iowa, and my dad worked at the college there.
That's amazing. Well, welcome,
Wow.
Kathy.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, I have been asked about that, if any of my husband's family was from Ankeny, Iowa. But I think, is that spelled Ankeny or O-N-Y?
It is. Yeah, we would always play them during basketball season. And
yeah.
They were really good.
Well, you did pronounce it absolutely perfectly. And no, I don't think there's anybody that I know of that's from there that I was related to or am still. Know that I'm in Ankeny. But I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation, and I've enjoyed catching up with you guys.
Do you have a busy week?
No, things are going fine. Just a little bit of a busy life with some of my own personal activities, and of course, seeing several of the episodes with Pastor Jim and Bye Bye Birdie and Beth's amazing props and all the church folks that are involved there. Our church presence was so big there. It was so nice to see so many people supporting that theater. It's a great theater group, so I enjoyed that.
It was amazing. I felt like the entire audience, I saw Kathy there last Saturday. Beth was also there with her family. And I felt like I kept looking around and all I saw were people from the church. I'm thinking, we have church here.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool.
So, well, awesome. Let's go ahead and move into Beth's ministry moment. And we don't have a rap created yet for Beth's ministry moment yet. So
wait, what was the thing I texted you? Oh yeah, this isn't Seth's ministry moment. This is Beth's ministry moment. I am pleased to introduce my friend, my Bible bud, my cohort, the sharer of my mom's birthday, which is September 30th, coincidentally, the same day her small group class starts, but we'll get more into that later. Kathy Ankeny is currently on the Care Notes ministry, and she might talk a little bit about that. And she's really excited, and so am I, to be leading her first small group where we will be watching the show The Chosen and talking about it. And the third thing she would like to talk about is a nonprofit organization. What was it called again, Kathy?
It's called You Are Enough. You Are Enough Foundation.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yay, welcome, Kathy.
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
I'm giving you the reins to talk about all of these things in whichever order you would like.
Well, thank you very much, Beth. I appreciate it. And you might want to add for your mom's benefit that I am a decade older than her mom. So we were born on the same day, but a few years apart.
Age is just a number.
I can't think of anybody I'd like to share a birthday with more than your mom. That's great. Pastor Jim contacted me a while ago because he knows I'm a little bit passionate about a show that I came across in 2022, and it's called The Chosen. It's the first crowd-funded, multi-season story of the life of Jesus Christ. And it's told from the perspective, I think, a very truthful perspective as far as trying to maintain the integrity of Scripture and following the path of Scripture. But it's such an engaging show. I fell in love with it. I've kind of bugged Pastor Jim constantly about it. And everyone that I know, I talk to about the show. It has impressed me so much. So he contacted me and said, would I enjoy doing a small group? I love small groups. I was a camp counselor up at Camp Wrightwood, and that's my favorite time is small groups, especially with senior highs, senior high kids, junior high kids. It was great. So I'm excited about the opportunity to share the show and then have discussion afterwards. I found a couple programs sponsored by different churches in the United States that had some pretty good questions to help us along after we watch the episode. It's an amazing show. It's right now the third season has concluded, and I can give you information. I can do that at class or tell you here a little bit about it. It's available free. You can just, if you have a television that you can cast to or a smart TV that allows you to download the Angel app, you can watch the show for free, all seasons. First season is also on Netflix, and it's also, all three seasons are on Amazon Prime if you have Amazon Prime TV.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Wow.
If you send me that information, I can get it posted on Facebook or even pass it along to the pastors and they can put it on the Facebook, the PUMC Facebook page.
That's a good idea. Thank you, Beth.
That starts this Saturday.
This Saturday, and I wanted it to run for 8 weeks. I think the other small groups, they're trying to wrap them up before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to get all 8 episodes of the first season in this small group and see how it goes from there. If anyone's interested in watching season 2 together as well.
Yeah.
I've already signed up for your small group and I'm very excited.
I saw you on the list. I'm excited too. I've talked about this show to so many people, and I like hearing feedback. How the format of the show, how people react to it, because it's a little different than a lot of Christian media stuff, shows, things like that. I think it's true to Scripture. The characters are so relatable, and that's the thing that drew me to it. Jonathan Rumi plays Jesus, and several other actors. I'm not familiar with most of them, but they're the story. The premise of The Chosen is that it's told from the story of the people that Jesus encountered, who some became his apostles, but also their families and other people in the community. So that's what I like about it, because it makes it so real, so that then when I go back to scripture journaling, Tim, which is a wonderful thing if you decide to do it. I love Pastor Jim's scripture journaling. That's one of the things that I was very fond of when I started at the church, was being introduced to that. Mm-hmm. And but that it brings the words to life. I can see the characteristics of some of the actors that are portraying the apostles or people that Jesus encountered, different miracles. They've been able to kind of portray them in a very realistic, but non-Hollywood way. And I don't mean that negatively, but I mean, it's not unbelievable. It makes scripture, to me, very believable.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm excited. So if anybody's interested in joining that small group that starts this Saturday, it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, correct? I read that correctly. So you can head to the church website, or you can download the church app, and you're welcome to sign up through the church app. It's very simple. Yeah.
One thing I'd like to add is, Kathy, it sounds like that show is very similar to some of the pieces that we had in PUMC, where I think it was, it might have been Good Friday or one of our services. We had depictions of actors that would portray themselves as one of the apostles, speaking to Jesus before he was crucified. And then Pastor Jim also did a sermon series where he was portraying characters from some of the scenes in the Bible, probably during when Jesus was alive. And the one that speaks mostly to me is the one on the paralytic and his coming down. I think it was he was. I'll have to refresh my
where he was lowered through the roof.
Story. Yeah, that's what it was.
He was lowered through the roof.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
James and John's father's house. James and John, the apostles.
Right.
Yeah. That's beautifully portrayed in the movie, in the series.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so nice to know.
Well, Kathy, you've also got, was it a couple more things you wanted to?
I did, yes. Thank you very much for reminding me. I did want to mention that I coincidentally ran into a lady at it's the Vets for Vet car show fundraiser for veteran causes here in Antelope Valley and surrounding areas. They had a car rally, and I went there to see our friend from church, Billy Cruz, who has a beautiful 1941 Ford truck, and I came across a lady, and her name is Jacqueline Fontana. And she, after the suicide of her young son, started a nonprofit called YouAreEnoughFoundation.org. And she is having, or hosting, I should say, the second annual AV Mental Health Awareness Day Walk. And that's October 14th from 8 to noon. And it starts out, and I'm terrible at this name. It's the Ponce Leon Square. Is that the one right next to the library and the city hall? It starts there, just walks out a little bit, and comes back. And it's basically to raise awareness for mental health, and also a cause that's very dear to my heart, which is to remove the stigma of suicide for survivors, and also for, especially like we were talking about, Jessica, the stigma that veterans, first responders, it's kind of hard for that group to reach out for help when it comes to dealing with mental health issues, PTS, post-traumatic stress. And it sounds like Jacqueline does some absolutely beautiful work with awareness on mental health. So we'll have some posters up at church and put it in the bulletin, perhaps something that might encourage people to, if nothing else, but just be aware. September is Mental Health Awareness, Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, and into October. So I think it'll be a great cause for people to look into.
Yeah, I just added that to my calendar, and awesome. And before we started the podcast, Kathy and I were kind of chatting, and what she was referencing was, I'm prior military, I'm a veteran, and unfortunately I have lost some friends to suicide that I had served with. And so that's definitely, mental health within the veteran community specifically is very near and dear to my heart. And I started a couple mental health initiatives and programs on my college campus because of that, because I didn't feel like there was enough. And I think we always feel like there's never enough,
Right. Right.
I've been very fortunate. Pastor Jim has been very supportive and allowed me to do like a ministry moment for the last few years that I've been able to talk about it. Is understanding that a phone call and reaching out to loved ones can be so impactful.
Yes.
Some people know my husband died by suicide 7 years ago, and it's something that I hope people become aware more of, how much you can do to help by just listening.
Yeah.
Talk to people. If you see or feel something that's uncomfortable or different about someone's behavior, reach out, talk. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
And good for you for doing work, Jessica, with the veterans groups in support of those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I can completely relate to like this subject matter in general. I had a friend who committed suicide, and I've had friends that, and probably to this day, I still talk to friends that have depression problems and things like that. And I like to be there as a listening friend. And I'm really glad that we're talking about listening, because I wanted to mention earlier that something I learned after the last episode of our podcast is I felt like I wanted to continue to speak about things in our podcast, but I learned that I don't always have to say, give my opinion about something. I can provide a listening ear or provide active listening. And so, yeah, I think listening is such an important subject. And I think if we try to like listen to each other and be there for each other and understand each other, then people will be more available to talk openly with us and trust us with their feelings and what they're going through.
I wasn't aware of that regarding your husband, Kathy. So I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm really glad that now you are, that's kind of one of your driving forces and focuses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that too, Kathy. I know that must have been devastating for you.
It was. And, but I'm here in Palmdale and I love the opportunity that Pastor Jim and PUMC has allowed me to kind of grow from that, if that doesn't sound too funny. Grow through it, grow around it, and have a voice, because I think it's so important. And that's the other ministry, was the care notes that our organist Neil Jean-Pierre started. Care notes, there have been so many things in my life where just a little note card, or someone sends a card, or some little piece of article that I read can be so uplifting or supportive or help you understand. And that's what the care notes do. They're on display in the lobby. I don't know if you call that the lobby or the hallway on the way to the social hall. And it's great. It's a great way to just pull up some ideas on things that are, child internet do's and don'ts, and holiday blues. There's so many topics that are covered with those little cards.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. So that's important to me.
Good. I love all three of those things that you just shared with us. And so I would love if you could continue to join us as we dive into our sermon feedback section.
Absolutely. I'd love to. That was a beautiful service Sunday. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah,
it was. I think this past Sunday, I guess a couple Sundays ago, Pastor Jim wrapped up his series of the Wait What series. And so this past Sunday, we were fortunate enough to hear a testimony, and it came from Tracey Mogg. And Tracey opened up about her life and, just giving birth to her beautiful daughter, Emily, and just the journey that took place for the next 9 years. And I would love to hear, Beth, I think you were here. Were you here when Emily, were you ever around Emily? Okay. I would love to get Kathy and Beth and Tim, if you had interactions with Emily at all. I would love to hear what your takeaways were from this past Sunday.
I think Tim is as new as you are, aren't you, Tim? About
Yeah. I think I started coming to Palmdale United Methodist Church. I think it was November 2021. So okay. I don't think I had that chance or that nice opportunity to see Emily at that time.
Okay.
I actually, the first time I saw Emily, she stood out to me because of her absolutely beautiful, bubbly personality. She was the star of the show. If the kids were up singing, Emily was the most enthusiastic.
Wow.
And my older sister, her first child was born with Down syndrome. She did live longer than Emily, but she was not as mentally able to live her life as Emily was. But, she was such a sweetheart to just a joy to watch. When she would sing, she sang with gusto and
wonderful.
Yes. I didn't know Emily or Tracey very well. I got to know Tracey a little bit after Emily had passed, because she's been in a couple Bible studies that I've also been in. But I'm going to echo exactly what Kathy said, because even though I didn't know her very well, she definitely did not go unnoticed.
Exactly.
That's
He
wonderful.
really did just have this zest for life and just a really spunky spirit. And I became Facebook friends with Tracey. It was after Emily had passed, but oh my goodness, was Emily so lucky to have Tracey as a mother, because they did so many fun things. And one of my favorite things about being friends with Tracey on Facebook is that she shares so many pictures of all, little spunky Emily, and how she really was. It feels like I'm getting to know her now.
Yeah.
And there's pictures of Emily going to Disneyland and Emily riding the horses, and just, the really cute videos you take of your kids when they're little and playing. And Emily was amazing because Tracey is amazing. And I have no doubt that, I know that God gives us each our own personalities and all of that, but I really do feel like Emily was the most loved little girl because of Tracey and her family. So
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's really nice, Beth.
What were you going to say, Beth?
So I just want to say this before I forget, because I will forget. There's a garden that is actually right next door to my office, which is the church garage, which is also where Kathy's class is going to be held.
Mm-hmm.
There's a garden right next door to the garage that is a garden that's been dedicated to Emily.
Oh,
and
wow.
There's flowers, and there's a little bench, and I think there's a sign that says "Be still and know that I am God." There's a little bird bath, and I feel like I really love it there, because I feel like it really is like a secret garden, and I can just go there and admire the flowers when I'm on my breaks or whatever. But also I feel like people need to know about it and go check it out, because it really is just a really beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Deb, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Is the lending library, was that also a part of what was done to remember Emily?
Yes,
the lending library.
Yes, the lending library that's in the front of the church.
Yeah.
And I might be making this up, but one or both of those might have been Eagle projects for
Eagle
the
Scout projects. I know the library was. I think you're right about the bench and the.
But I also know that I think it's because Dita Pulliam and Jacob are involved in the Scouts. I know that she had a huge part in both of those.
Gotcha.
Hey, thank you for mentioning that, Beth. I remember that PUMC did make an announcement about the garden and the lending library before being dedicated to Emily and so forth. So thanks for reminding us and the audience about that. And what you said is like just basically that garden, going there and like just that remembering like who Emily was and everything, that it's just really touching. The takeaway for me regarding Tracey's testimony was the fact that Emily was basically there with Tracey after Emily was no longer physically with her. So like when we experience someone passing away, whether it's like a person or like an animal, like basically there are family members, our loved ones, and so they continue with us. And so like I was thinking like going to that garden, it's like an opportunity for like just connecting with that person or that part of ourselves. And yeah, just basically, I feel really touched by the fact that Emily provided that, like, that happiness to the church and that happiness to Tracey's life. And so yeah, it's really really challenging though. It's when you have something like that happening. And I think Pastor Jim really speaks volumes to all of us about how God doesn't choose these circumstances for us necessarily, but they help us grow and they help us become stronger. And we feel more connected with God if we can reach out and feel that Holy Spirit. So that was kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, I like that. I think one area that stood out for me was, and Beth and Kathy, you both mentioned this, just how, I guess her joy for life, like Emily's joy for life, was something that even Don, mentioned that in the service, just he could remember seeing her dancing, in between the pews and stuff. And it's such, you can't, like hear about this story and reflect on your own life and think about, not necessarily compare, but just in terms of what are people going to say when I pass? Are they going to say that I had, a life filled with this Proverbs 31 life, or did I live a life that people will know that I lived for Jesus and that he was the focal point of my life, because that's what everybody is mentioning about Emily. And I think that is the most beautiful thing, and I mean, I think of my mom and how she's just this amazing Christian woman. And it's like, if I can one day be such a small amount like her in some capacity, and just her patience and her love for people, but, just all these things that reflect how Jesus would live, it would be amazing, and so that's kind of the takeaway that I got, was just, how am I living a life that people are going to look back and say, she loved Jesus and her life reflected that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really that's a really compelling, or just overall special way to look at that, this testimony from Tracey. What is our legacy? What are people are going to remember us for? How many people's lives have we touched? How many people have we helped? How much love have we provided to everyone? And that reminds me of the Palmdale UMC, the mission statement, inspired by Jesus to love. So then we just provide that, that sense of peace and love to everyone. And I think Emily provided that, based on everything that we just talked about. And
can I just add too, circling back to what we were talking about, Tim, earlier about listening to people? I think that's one of the most important things we can do if we want to continue the legacy of Christ. And that's what Tracey brought up toward the end of her testimony, was the idea that people did surround her. Some people were there to listen to her, just listen to her grief, or listen to her, not make judgments, not say one thing or another. But I think that's a message for those of us that are all still around here, and what we can do in our life, how we can conduct our life and make lives better. Have Emily smile and listen to people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to reference a Hamilton quote.
Of course.
For all of you Hamilton fans out there. But one of my very favorite lines of Hamilton, he says at the the towards the very end of the show, he says, "What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden that you never get to see." And I was just
Wow.
thinking about that now, and the fact that we have planted a literal garden for Emily gave me goosebumps a little bit. But
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
It's beautiful.
that is beautiful.
It's interesting that flowers kind of come into play for, like, my grandma was a huge person in my life, and she passed away. It's been a while. I can't believe it's been a while, but I think it's been over 10 years now. But she loved flowers. So I love planting flowers, or just when I get flowers, I'll think of her. And so anyway, I think that's,
Yeah.
I like that quote
Yeah.
though, Beth. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's really nice. And that reminds me of one of the major artists. I wouldn't say that he necessarily influences art today, but maybe he does. I think it was Vincent van Gogh or something like that. I think he was like,
influencing art today.
yeah. Oh, he is. Okay. Yeah. So basically, I guess he lived a poor life, and it was only after he passed away that
Right.
his art just became like incredibly recognized. So yeah, and I wanted to bring up something else, and that's so recently, I would say within the last 2 years, one of my dogs passed away. And he just had the most like memorable personality, like just one of the most likable, like patient personalities for like a dog. And he just like put up with so much from the other dogs that I have, like their energy. He didn't really match their energy, and so he just like exhibited so much patience, and and he was always so excited to go on walks and things like that. Whereas my other dogs that I have now, they actually get like afraid to go, like the initial part of going for the walk. Like you put the harness on them or whatever, and they're just kind of like freaked out. But my dog that passed away now, I could probably mention his name. His name is Curly.
You're not trying to protect his identity.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, he just got so excited to walk. It was complete contrast to my other dogs. And so anyhow, now that he's passed away, I feel like there's something about Curly that when I think back to his memory, it's like that all of him is part of me now. Like it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like it's just such a salient memory that it's like that person or pet or family member or whoever, just that they're a part of you forever in your memories, and really influencing who you are today. So yeah, it's just
Tim, I probably haven't told you this, but I've told other people that you, like, speaking of you, your dog becoming a part of you, I have often referred to you as having golden retriever energy. And that's 1,000% a compliment. And it's just, you just always have like this happy energy, like a golden retriever would.
Are we assigning each other our own dog breeds?
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Because another fun fact that not a lot of, people who have been a part of the church pre-pandemic know this about me, but in my contacts on my phone, for a lot of my close friends, Tim, I haven't found a picture for you yet, or you either, Jessica. I assigned each person what they would look like if they were a dog.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And I have some pretty good ones. Kathy, do you want to see yours? It's probably been a while.
It's been a while, but I think I remember it.
Yeah.
One
I
of
haven't
us
been
is
able
going
to forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, people at home, you're not going to be able to see this, but
You might have to describe each dog for each person
my
here in this
gosh.
podcast.
It's adorable. It looks like a
Like a Pomeranian or something,
it's
or no?
like a
Poodle?
Pomeranian slash Maltese slash
Yes.
poodle.
white dog,
It's
and it has a very pretty necklace on.
it's like
and a
pink
bow.
curls.
Yes. And I showed this to Kathy. And she said, you said something like, I thought I would be a bigger dog. And I was like, yeah, this dog thinks that too. And 'cause, you know, if you've ever met a little dog, a lot of them have that big dog energy.
Yes.
Oh,
They think they're very sassy. I'm not saying that this is you as a personality, but at least my little dogs think they're so big and tough and sassy. But when it comes down to like the moment where they need to attack, they're hiding behind a couch or something. Another one, I'm going to show you Pastor Jim's. I haven't found one for Pastor John yet. I should probably get on that. But Pastor Jim is also one of my favorites. It's so good. You guys are going to love this one. Okay.
Oh my gosh. This is a Yorkie. It's a Yorkie with
It's a
a
Yorkie.
Hawaiian shirt.
Yep. Or an aloha shirt, I think is the proper term.
That's amazing.
Come up with others. You know what? We should do a thing where the stuff we talk about, I post on Facebook somewhere. I'm going to do that. I'll post both of these pictures.
Sounds good. Maybe not a recording of us with the video. Maybe
No, we don't have to go into that because I don't think I'm ready for that. I can hardly listen to myself.
Maybe once we get to like 10 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Right
yes.
now.
We're at 2 to 6 million right now. So.
Yeah.
We're between 2 and 6 million right now. So yeah, we'll wait till we hit a solid 10.
So we need 3 to 4 million more people.
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I love, that we all had a little bit of different feedback from the testimony this past Sunday. Any last, Kathy, did you have any additional feedback or takeaways from this past Sunday that you wanted to share?
I loved the testimony. I think I've talked pretty much about that, but I loved Pastor John's moment for children, time with children.
Yeah.
The rockets, that was just terrific. I had heard about it. I think he had it on Facebook maybe, but it was so good to see it up there and to see Julian's face and just to see that, because I know some of my family that work at Edwards Air Force Base, they saw it too. I didn't see it. I thought that was wonderful that he did that. I loved that.
Yeah, I love that too. And to always, chase your dreams and shoot for the stars. And yeah, I loved that.
And Don's music, that's just one of the few times that I go up to Don and say, boy, good choice on the music. I need to tell him that more.
Oh,
because they tie everything together, and it's very impactful for me.
I love that he did that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I think one thing that he mentioned was he had Tracey, I think, pick out most of the music, because a lot of it was a lot of Emily's favorite songs.
Oh,
wow.
And so I only knew that because I assisted Dawn this past Sunday for the 11 o'clock, and good music. And he's like, just so you know, I might get emotional because a lot of these songs were Emily's, and I used to see her dancing out there. And so I think it was pretty impactful for for Don as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's the whole reason we're doing this, not the podcast, but Tracey sharing her story, because even though she's gone from this world, she's not forgotten. And I think
Yeah.
we just, people who have lost a loved one or a pet or anything like that, I think we just want people to know that they're still making an impact on this world, even if they're not here physically.
Precisely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was like an opportunity for all of us to like kind of what we were talking about earlier, like reaching out to a loved one, reaching out to a friend, reaching out to a coworker or even a stranger, and providing a listening ear and like peace and comfort and love to that person or that other family member, that a pet, or just it's really like a great opportunity for us to like cultivate a strong relationship with like someone else, and basically provide that like understanding that everyone is that they're not alone. And I yeah, so like everybody can connect with each other, and maybe everybody feels more like touched to connect with one another after Tracey shared that testimony. So,
Exactly.
that's the other thing that I was thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing with a lot of people is, I think in general, when it comes to people that, pass away due to like a medical circumstance or it be suicide, at the end of the day, nobody wants to be alone in their story. And the more people that open up and share their stories, the more that people can relate with one another. And it's so important how, our life is incredibly short.
Yeah.
So the best we can do is learn about each other. And there's so much that we can benefit from surrounding ourselves with people that, one, are not like us, maybe don't look like us, because those are the individuals that can teach us the most.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's
also
really important.
Also talking about your struggles and your hardships. I mean, this is more than a struggle and more than a hardship. I'm not trying to downplay it, but talking about the things that you have gone through also gives other people the courage to tell their story. So I'm a huge Jason Mraz fan, and on his latest album, he has a song called "The Irony of Loneliness," and basically, the irony of loneliness is we feel it at the same time. There's another line that he says later that also gives me, he sings it, but it also gives me goosebumps. The comedy of tragedy is it makes us feel alive.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And that speaks to me because sometimes when I watch sad shows, that I do feel more alive than if I was to watch a different kind of show. Like if I was to watch an action show or something like that, it's not the same. So yeah, that's really fascinating.
That's interesting. Well, I would like to go into our prayer request portion. And does anybody have any specific prayer requests? Beth, are you still praying for PUMC?
I have stopped praying for PUMC.
All right, kidding. You're done. Everything has come true. Everything's been resolved. We have met the monthly giving goal. We are done.
No, I am still praying for PUMC. But I would also like to request prayers for myself and for my 16-year-old son, Owen. It's basically typical 16-year-old, issues, but we're both having a really hard time finding that common ground where we don't argue and yell at each other.
Have you tried sock puppets?
Oh,
That's so funny that you say that, because last week we had a pretty big argument, and it ended with me saying that from now on, you're going to just have to talk to your dad about stuff because it seems like we can't talk to each other. And then he said, "Oh, Dad will be hearing about this." And anyway, and later I got a text message from him saying, "We really need to talk about what happened tomorrow. And maybe Dad can, mediate a conversation between us." And so I was thinking the whole night, and then the whole next day while he was at school, like, yeah, we need to talk about this, but how are we going to be able to, talk calmly to each other? And I was thinking, do we need a talking stick? And then we ended up talking when Owen came home from school. Craig wasn't home yet, and he didn't need to mediate for us, but we did have a really good conversation where I think both of us felt heard, and both of us were able to tell our sides of the story without any, friction. But the first thing that Owen said was, "I think we might need a talking stick." And I laughed so hard. I was thinking the same thing, Owen. So
Well, it seems there is a common thread between you both, and it might be the talking stick.
sometimes I forget who is supposed to be the adult, and I think it's supposed to be me. But in my defense, he's been 85 years old since the day he was born. And so I forget that he's not actually 85 years old. He is actually a 16-year-old boy, and I am the adult.
Gotcha.
And not 12 years old, like I feel in my brain.
Gotcha. Well, we will definitely be praying for you both.
Thank
on
you.
that. And
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure
Beth.
you'll find a way to better communicate, because it seems like you both are wanting that to happen. So that's the first step, is that you both want that, which is good. So
yes,
that's good to hear.
Thank you.
Kathy, do you have any prayer requests?
Ongoing prayer request for a niece who is going through some second round of cancer treatment. She's a lovely young lady with 4 beautiful kids, and this cancer is awful. So just prayers for Renee, my sweet little niece.
Renee, okay, we will definitely do so.
Yeah, definitely, Kathy. I'm thinking 2 things. A prayer for my brother, because my brother's name is Matt. He is currently out of work right now. He, I think, took 2 weeks notice, and he's got, he does have some savings, but I guess he just was having some issues with some coworkers, and maybe just the work atmosphere was not something that he could comfortably work in and like feel excited about and happy and things like that. So a prayer for him to find some work and just feel like happy in his own life. It seemed to me that he was feeling kind of sad when I talked to him last time. So I hope that he's feeling better, but a prayer for him for strength and well-being, and so that he can find work again, and in a happy way, not because he has to, but because he wants to, and feel like he's getting enjoyment from it. And then the other thing is a prayer for me to actually get some peace and comfort in taking a break from technology, at least insofar as I take care of myself better, and feel like I have a better handle on things. I'm making more deliberate choices instead of just like impulsively like internet surfing or something like that. And so then just being comfortable, like feeling like anxiety or just like thinking in general, instead of having to distract myself with my phone or my computer or something like that. So a prayer for me to have like the courage to follow through on what I'm trying to do with that.
That sounds good. Yeah, and if you struggle with it now until the season of Lent, you have something you could give up.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's good to know.
Like, does that apply to all of us or just him? Because I am not ready.
You have time to prepare, Beth, but I've done that. Amber and I have given up like social media and stuff for a while, and it was super refreshing. And I found myself, even now, if I don't have to get on social media, I don't. But it sure is nice to watch those funny videos with cats and random animals. That's the only problem, is those.
I know.
I'll send you videos of my own. Well, you can take your own videos at your house. You don't need.
I've got quite a few options here.
Live performance.
Exactly. I guess on my end for prayer requests, the main one I'm, initially thinking of is, the common thing for me the past couple of weeks has been my professional life, and I've been in the spirit of transition of wanting to find a new place to dive into within higher education. And I now have I had interviews at 2 different institutions, and I was then reached out to from both institutions for a second round. So
wonderful.
Now makes things kind of like, well, there's like this pro-con thing where they're both great opportunities. They're both incredible schools, but it's really, what kind of job do I want? Like, what do I want my main focus to be? So
I say you just take both jobs.
Yeah, why not, right?
Fit that in your schedule, can you?
Yeah, I think you know what? Yeah. And then I'll just keep the one I have now, and then I'll just have 3.
Oh, perfect. Wow. I can see you doing that, Jessica.
You won't have to complain about gas or the price of groceries.
Exactly. Right.
I mean, are you a shallow person? Yes, but you got that money.
You'll never see me again, but that's,
No, we'll see. That's the thing. We'll see you as well. There'll be 4 places that you'll.
Yeah. So anyways, that's, I think the biggest thing is, I'm just really following God's lead on this, because one of them in particular would be a little bit more satisfying in terms of what I would be doing, because I would be going back and working with, veteran initiatives. And that's really where my passion is. I get so much joy from that. And so anyways, we'll see where it goes. And maybe next Monday I'll have more of an update, because I have an interview this Friday, and then I have an interview next Monday. So.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. I wish you the best on all of that, Jessica, the interviews and your decision process and everything. That's really nice that you're keeping us updated on that.
Yeah, for sure. There's not much I can really do. Just tell people what I know, what I'm capable of, and God opens the door, and I just woo.
I was kind of imagining like either a surfboard or a skateboard, and you're just kind of going through the doors that God is opening for you.
Right. A bobsled, roller skate.
A bobsled, yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. Well, awesome. I thought today we had a pretty awesome conversation in terms of reflecting on, Tracey's testimony, and also reflecting on the life of Emily. And Kathy, we can't thank you enough for coming and joining us today to share about things that you're up to and ways that we can be part of the church at Palmdale United Methodist Church. and then also just sharing your thoughts and expertise. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here in this podcast.
Kathy, I'm not sure if you know this, but you are one of my very favorite people.
I knew that.
Oh, good.
We're Bible buds. This is from Women's Retreat. Bible buds, Cove cohorts. We were in a cove by ourselves.
Which might be coming back, so stay tuned for more information on that.
Absolutely. Excited about that.
All right. Until next week, thank you all for listening.
Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next time.
We're all from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness.